I personally think that Monsters University is a very underrated movie. Like, I'm not gonna claim it's perfect or even an improvement on the original. I'm just gonna say it has an amazing story that just doesn't get appreciated enough. And I am gonna say it is by far Pixar's best prequel. Yep. I said it. But people just can't help criticizing it because no one likes prequels, and apparently they'd rather have a sequel all about Boo, because it's a great idea to try and follow up that scene. But you know what? This film still has some of Pixar's most moving scenes, and we got another visit into the human world. And until today, no one's theorized all that much about Mike trying to scare some kids at some sort of camp during Monsters University. But I found reason to believe that this camp is in fact Andy from Toy Story's Cowboy Camp. Imagine for a lot of you, this opens up one quite major question. Do Monsters Inc. and Toy Story exist in the same universe? And well, yes. Obviously, due to Pixar theory, I feel like I should provide some evidence proving it, starting with the fact there are plenty of Easter eggs connecting these films. From the fact Boo has a Jessie doll, which we know is from a successful TV show in the Toy Story films, and Boo is quite literally in Toy Story 3. But Leon Crick said that it's Boo. She literally looks just like her. Don't even at me about this. But Easter eggs are one thing, and actually proving they exist in the same universe is a complete other can of worms. However, Pixar have actually gone to an effort to prove these films exist in the same universe through the release of a comic book series about Mike and Sully released after Monsters Inc. And in this comic book series, Sid, as in the Sid from Toy Story, breaks into the monster world. And while this probably isn't considered canon, if it doesn't provide proof that the creators believe these films could share a universe, you might as well just click off now, because I'm not convincing you of anything today. Anyway, for those of you on board with the Pixar theory, you'll know it suggests that Monsters Inc. takes place in the far future, and they go back in time to scare kids in the human world. And while I still don't quite understand how the time-traveling doors work, if we're agreed this is Boo in Toy Story 3, because it's her, clearly, that would mean Andy is significantly older than Boo, and considering how many years between Monsters University and Monsters Inc., it would fit up perfectly for Andy to be the same age as the rest of the kids at the camp. Around 6 to 8, and I think we can give or take a few years because Pixar decided it was important enough for Woody to mention in Toy Story 2 that it wasn't Andy's first Cowboy Camp.
This will be the first year I miss Cowboy Camp, all because of my stupid hat.
Whoever decided to write that line into the film, I don't know who you are, but thank you. You made my life so much easier, and I'm sure you watch my videos, so sub for sub. I was honestly surprised how perfectly the whole timeline fit up, but I know, proving the timeline fits up isn't enough. However, if I was able to find, say, a Woody doll lying around at this camp, that could be used as a lot more concrete evidence. And while I couldn't find Woody, he wasn't the only thing Andy brought to Cowboy Camp. Because if you remember at the start of Toy Story 2, when Andy was packing his bag and preparing to go, he had this green bag with blue zip. And interestingly, this bag is in the closet Mike enters the human world through. That's Andy's bag. It's the only thing we know for a fact he brought to Cowboy Camp, and well, it's sitting in the room, right there. But I hear ya, it's just a generic bag. It could be anyone. It isn't quite enough proof, so I kept looking, and by the time Sully enters the human world and the police have arrived onto the premises of the camp, we get a look at who's in charge. Specifically, this woman. And while we can't see her face, I think I know who it is. Just by the shape of her and her body language and her hairstyle, I think she looks an awful lot like Bonnie's mum. Like, I know we can't see her face, so we can't really identify her, but it's not just me who sees Bonnie's mum there, right? Because to add to the fact it kind of looks like her, it fits perfectly with her character. She'd be there too. She literally works with kids all day, every day at Sunnyside Daycare, and has seemingly been doing it for a long time, as she seems to know Andy's mum quite well and still remembers Andy.
Hey, how are your kids? Molly and Andy?
Not kids anymore. Andy's going to college on Friday.
What?
Can you believe it?
And while the fact she remembers Andy strongly implies he went to Sunnyside Daycare, which is just headcanon and a half. But what if she also remembered him because he was one of the most committed goers to the cowboy camp she ran every year? And considering at this stage she wouldn't have had Bonnie yet, who seems to be an only child, she probably wouldn't have any other commitments preventing her from running something like this. I'm so confident this is Bonnie's mum, and it would just make so much sense, therefore, for Andy to be there. However, understandably, this still won't convince a lot of you, and some of you won't be convinced unless I show Andy is actually in the scene during Monsters University. And well, let me tell you, I found him. Because if you pause the film right here, there he is. But then again, I hear ya, that looks nothing like him. And you're not wrong, that looks nothing like Andy from Toy Story or Toy Story 2. It just looks like a weird younger version of Andy from Toy Story 3, and maybe it's because they have the exact same hairstyle, contrasting to Andy from Toy Story and Toy Story 2, who always had short hair. And while I could try and make the argument that when the first films came out, the technology was very new and it was very hard to animate hair, so there was no point giving Andy long hair, but in the last decade, technology's advanced, so it wasn't as much a hassle to animate his hair, so by Toy Story 3, they gave him longer hair. And while I believe this kid looks more like a younger version of Andy from Toy Story 3 than the character in Toy Story and Toy Story 2, and maybe they even based the model of this kid off Andy from Toy Story 3. I don't believe this character was intentionally made to be a cameo from Andy. But maybe that's not a bad thing, because while there are these maybe-ish Easter eggs of this kid that could kind of look like Andy if you look at it from a certain perspective, or this leader that looks like Bonnie's mum, or Andy's bag just thrown in there because why not? They haven't given me quite enough evidence to feel like it's properly concrete. But at the end of the day, that's why it's a theory. If there was all the evidence there and this kid looked just like Andy, this would no longer be a theory. It would just be pure fact that Andy's cowboy camp was in Monsters University. Someone would have noticed it years ago and I wouldn't be making the video right now. But because there isn't all the evidence there can still be some mystery and still a debate about whether it's true or not. And while I know loads of you will write this off as a far-fetched theory with not enough evidence, I also know a lot of you will love the idea of this being Andy's cowboy camp. And I personally love the idea that there's a possibility Andy and Mike met in this Pixar theory universe. Or that Bonnie's mum has that extra connection to Andy being the leader at Cowboy Camp, giving that bit more backstory to where the toys are now after Toy Story 3. Which is why I chose to share my findings with you, even though I didn't have as much evidence as I normally do. And if you're even slightly convinced or just want to believe it to be true, make sure to leave a like on this video. If you enjoyed this video, you can subscribe to my channel by clicking here. You can also check out my other social medias, including Twitter and Instagram, in the description down below, with a link to my merch, which you can also check out here. You can watch another Pixar theory by clicking here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Have you ever stopped to think that maybe the reason Sully doesn't have a girlfriend is because he comes out the closet every day for his job? Just some food for thought.